Greetings, friends. I trust you're doing well. I trust you're keeping safe. Thank you so much for joining me once again in today's episode. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the subject of disappointment. And I mean, when you think about life, just life generally, regardless of where you are, whether it's professional, private, I mean, who hasn't gone through any disappointments? And let me just pause and ask you, have you faced any disappointments recently? So sometimes disappointments can just be that, it was just a disappointment. But when you look at it deeper in terms of what that does to you, and how, especially when disappointment is constant, over and over again, you get disappointed, then this can have a way of really impacting you, especially when you think about significant relationships. Constant disappointments really ends up affecting your self-esteem, and it can take a toll on you. So it might just be as simple, yeah, they did something, I was not happy. But it's important for us to just take a moment to examine, how do we handle disappointments? And when you look at just how different people handle disappointments, sometimes you're really surprised at some reactions, and you may tend to think, I mean, why did that person just react like that? I mean, it was just a small thing, but you feel someone has really overstretched it. But you know what? We all have different ways of reacting to different situations. And when I'm thinking or talking about disappointments, of course, one thing that comes to my mind is, broken promises. Someone promises to do something and they don't do it. Or if it's relationships, a relationship that did not work out. And, initially you can just say, I was disappointed, it didn't work out. But this can actually go on, and, we can have more devastating impacts for different people. And disappointment can also be as a result of, goals and expectations that you have of yourself. So you've set plans, it's still early on in the year, and you probably wanted to achieve some things in the previous year, and you're looking at this time of the year and your situation, and you feel, what? I have let myself down. So disappointment can come as a result of unmet expectations of ourselves or other people. But then, my dear lady, how do we handle disappointments? But perhaps before I come to how do we handle disappointment, when I started on, I mentioned different people handle disappointments differently, and it can impact us in diverse ways. And for some, they just have the ability to move on. But there are people who have lost hope because maybe you had this high expectation, say, for example, of a job that you were so sure you're going to get, and it didn't happen, and so you feel like all your dreams have been crumbled. Maybe you are married and it didn't work out, and this can lead to other emotional issues that, if not handled well, can really impact you significantly. So it's important to really just take stock and ask yourself, maybe even just examine, how do I handle disappointment? When people let me down, how do I handle that? And so now, to the point of how can we actually handle disappointments? One thing I've really come to learn is just shifting your mindset and how you look at disappointments. So first and foremost, I've come to appreciate, and I'm really trying to be very self-aware and very conscious, that when you're dealing with people, when you're setting expectation of people, please just be prepared that it could go either way. And even just have the courage to ask yourself, if this doesn't work out, then what? And just see the space that thought puts you in, so that you already start preparing. They say, prepare for the best, but also be ready for the worst. I know it's easier said than done, but it's important to just have that outlook that things could work or they may not work out. And when things don't work out, it's not the end of life. If you wanted that job and it hasn't come, I just want you to know that when all is said and done, you're going to look back and see that, life will continue. But when we get so stuck in the disappointments, momentarily disappointments, then we can lose sight of so many wonderful things. So I would like to share with you just some three insights of, for me, what I've seen and what I'm trying out, and I think it really helps. One is just what I've told you. When you're dealing with people, just know people can disappoint you. So be ready. Let it not come as a shocker. Two, when you're disappointed, depending on the issue, it can also trigger other emotions. It can trigger anger, it can trigger resentment. And if that is left unchecked, then you can find yourself transferring that anger and resentment to even other people who are not part, of the issue that you're dealing with. So just check that when you face, that situation and you're feeling disappointment, what sort of emotion is this triggering for you? And something I have learned to do is just take a step back. When you receive that news, or when you encounter that situation, that moment when you're disappointed and you just feel like you're going to say things, you're getting angry, just be quiet and take a step back. Those few seconds, those few minutes, that day that you just decided to take a step back can really make a difference. Because when we are disappointed and then we react at the spur of the moment, things can really escalate, and now we'll be dealing with a totally different story. So, do you think you can learn to just breathe and take a step back when you receive that news that you are not expecting? Just take it in, soak it in, and don't act, don't react or do anything at that moment. You'll be surprised how, moments later, sleep over it. You'll be surprised how maybe even the following day, you'll have calmed down and you'll have a totally different perspective. So, as we go about life, we will always have moments of disappointments. But the most important thing to remember is that you have power in terms of how you respond, and just the awareness that life is full of disappointments can actually be a strength for you in terms of how you move forward, in terms of how you carry yourself and move on, and not just to wallow in the disappointment. So thank you so much for joining me today. As we go out there, let's embrace disappointments and know that we have what it takes to overcome, and life will go on. Have a beautiful day, and God bless you.